Toy Farmer. Written by Andrew T. Pelletier and illustrated by Scott Nash. We've permission from Dutton Books to read to you today. One day, while he was poking around in the darkest back corner of the attic, Jed discovered an old wooden box. The only thing inside the box was a bright red toy tractor. At the wheel sat a farmer wearing a plaid shirt and a straw hat with a wide brim. Then Jed showed the toy to his dad, and his dad said, "I wondered where that old thing had gone off to." It turned out that it had been his toy, way back when he was Jed's age. "Craziest toy I ever had," he told Jed. His dad wore a secret little smile and winked at Jed as if he knew something that he wasn't telling. Jed wanted to know more, but his dad just kept on grinning. Let's just say that "that's some farmer" was all he said. Jed had fun with his new toy. He drove it around and around on the thick green rug in his room, pretending that he was plowing and planting and harvesting. That night, before Jed climbed into bed, he parked the tractor right at the edge of the rug. He bent down close to the farmer. "We'll get back to work first thing tomorrow," he whispered. Jed awoke to the low, rumbling sound of an engine, coming from quite close by. He threw his feet over the edge of the bed, and to his surprise they landed not on the green rug, but in deep, soft dirt. Overnight his rug had been replaced by a neat square field, and the red tractor was plowing it. The toy farmer looked up and waved his straw hat. "Mornin'," he called. "Mornin'," replied Jed. It was all he could think of to say. The farmer went on working as if nothing had happened, but Jed knew dirt when he saw it, and his green rug had definitely disappeared. The next day the tractor was rumbling around and around the neat square field. Day after day the toy farmer was very busy. Sometimes he was tilling, other times he was weeding. "Mornin'," the farmer always said. "Morning," Jed always replied. When Jed noticed that a tiny green sprout had popped up in the middle of the field, he asked, "What's that you're growing?" "You'll see," replied the toy farmer. Each day the sprout was a bit taller. Leaves began to spring out from its stem, and little green vines curled out over the dirt. The plant grew and grew. Its leaves and vines spread over the ground and grew crazily up the walls and over the windows. The plant grew and grew. Once in a while, Jed spied the toy farmer driving his tractor around in the shade of the broad green leaves. Sometimes he heard the farmer singing "Blue Moon of Kentucky," and he liked to join right in. The giant plant swayed in time to the tune. A yellow blossom appeared on the thick main stem. It was as big, as round as a garbage can lid. Jed was sad when the flower shriveled and fell off, but he noticed that where the blossom had been, there was now a tiny green fruit, barely bigger than his thumb. The little green fruit began to grow. One day it was as big as a baseball. The next it was as big as a basketball. Each morning it seemed to Jed that it was twice as large as when he last looked. In no time it was as fat as a truck tire, and still it grew. By now Jed and the toy farmer had to water it with a garden hose, and still it grew. Then right when the humongous thing was beginning to bulge against the walls and windows of Jed's bedroom, it began to change color. At first Jed noticed just the barest hint of yellow right near the stem. The yellow spread down the wide sides, and then slowly the entire gigantic thing turned a bright, bright orange. Jed was the owner of the biggest pumpkin that anyone had ever seen. When word of Jed's giant pumpkin spread, folks came running from miles around just to look in the window and stare. They all asked Jed how he'd grown such a thing, but Jed just flashed a secret little smile, one that said he knew something he wasn't telling. Somebody suggested to Jed that he should take his pumpkin down to the county fair and enter it in the giant pumpkin contest. There was just one little problem. How was he supposed to get the giant thing out of his bedroom? Luckily, the toy farmer had a saw handy, and together he and Jed took the side of the room clean off. After that, Jed sawed through the stem, and then he and the toy farmer rolled the pumpkin right out of his bedroom and onto the back of a big truck. People lined the roads for miles just to watch Jed's pumpkin make its way to the fair. They cheered and waved and shouted, "Good luck!" Jed rode on top of his pumpkin and waved back and sang Blue Moon of Kentucky at the top of his lungs. The judges at the fair took one look and all agreed they couldn't remember the last time they had seen anything like Jed's pumpkin. "Astounding," said the first judge. "Incredible," replied the second judge. "No ordinary prize will do," shouted the third. Instead of the usual blue ribbon, they awarded Jed's pumpkin a special blue ribbon, 10 times longer and 5 times wider than a regular ribbon. The ribbon had Jed's name on it, and it spelled out Grand Champion in big, bold letters. The judges were so impressed with Jed's pumpkin that they asked if they could borrow it for Halloween. "It'll make the biggest jack-o'-lantern the county has ever seen," they said. "We'll shoot car headlights through the eyes and mouth and scare everyone from miles around." Jed thought it was a great idea. It was his proudest moment, but then Jed remembered he had someone else to thank. He rushed home and up the stairs to his bedroom to share the special ribbon with the toy farmer. But while he was away at the fair, all the leaves and the vines and the dirt had been swept away, and his room was back to normal. It looked as if nothing at all had happened, and the toy farmer was nowhere to be found. Jed just sat down in the middle of the green rug. He missed the toy farmer terribly. He was so blue that he skipped supper. When Jed's dad came up to check on him and saw his sad, lonely face, he knew exactly what was wrong. He took Jed up to the attic and opened another old box, one that Jed hadn't noticed before. He pulled out a faded blue ribbon, exactly as long and exactly as wide as Jed's. This ribbon had his dad's name written on it, and it too spelled out Grand Champion in big, bold letters. "Don't worry," his dad told Jed. "That toy farmer will show up again. He always does." And there he is, chugging away, singing Blue Moon of Kentucky, Keep on Shining. His favorite song. The Toy Farmer.